Well, welcome everybody, as mentioned, to Winning the Sales Game, the strategies to build a pipeline that sticks. We are happy to have you here with us. A couple of housekeeping things before we get started. We love questions. So at any point, if you have questions for our two awesome panelists, go ahead and use the Q&A portal at the bottom of your screen and submit your questions. We'll get to as many of them as we can at the end of the session. If you have colleagues that you think would enjoy this and, oh no, they can't be here now, don't worry. I will send you all the recording by the end of the day tomorrow, which is Thursday. So you can share with your colleagues if you want. And then one thing we love is, where are you in the world? Go ahead and go in the chat, set the toggle to talking to everyone so everyone can see, and let us know, where are you in the world? We love to know that. It's fun. And then if you are interested, this Friday, the 16th, join us for Bold Calling, how to unclog your inbound pipeline, with Atrium's co-founder, Pete Kazenji, and Orum's VP of Sales, Colin Spencer, who's also on this. Imagine that. But speaking of intros, I'd like to introduce our wonderful panelists. So we have Kate Penner, who is the head of sales development and strategy and enablement at Sendoso. She's had, love it. So much sales experience. Really excited to hear all of her great ideas and knowledge. And we also have from the Orum side, our VP of Sales, Colin Spector. Again, another woo. We'll do another woo. Lots and lots of sales experience here on the call. So we're really excited to kick off this conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Katie, who I think is going to kick us off. So welcome. And you're muted, Katie. So.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Sorry.
Yep,
Internet's
all good.
A little unstable. Okay. So hi, everybody. Katie Penner with Sendoso. Wanted to, talk about gifting, right? And gifting outside of the box, and, just beyond a coffee card. What else can make you memorable, and how can you recognize what these gifts might be, right? And we have Colin. Colin is a VP of sales. He's a bunch of people's ICP. And as we were prepping for this webinar, Colin actually told me a great story about an SDR at Gong that reached out to him and captured his attention. And this gift wasn't high valuable, but it was memorable. So Colin, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I love any ways to cut through the noise, as we like to say. Especially at the VP level, I am a buyer of software and services, and my inbox gets flooded, right? And even folks I want to reply to, it can be tough to keep up with, right? And I think there's some AI tools that can certainly help there, but I love a great ABX, approach. Someone that is trying to get omnipresent, to get my attention, showing they've done their research. And so, yeah, quick shout out to this rep from Gong, who really got my attention. So somehow, probably through some research, they found my mailing address and sent me. They had obviously done their research, saw that one of my passions and hobbies is surfing, and they sent me a surf kit which had like wax and like a wax comb. And some like really not an expensive gift at all, but it had shown that they had done their research with a personalized note. I'm not sure, they probably used Sendoso to send it, I imagine. But it cut through the noise, right? And so they were hitting me up on LinkedIn, they were hitting me up on email, they're hitting me up on the phone, and when I got this package, like, I had to reply, right? I had to say, hey, thank you so much for the thoughtful gift. And so it certainly earned them a conversation. So just wanted to share that anecdote. And it wasn't like an expensive gift. It was something that was clearly, personal, that they knew would resonate with me based on the research they did. And so shout out to that rep at Gong for that. So Gong obviously having an ABM approach to their sales prospecting. So
that's awesome. And we kind of talked about the law of reciprocity, right? And how that kind of does factor into gifting. But I think what's so important about that example was that it came off as genuine, right? It didn't come off as a bribe or anything like that. So absolutely props to them. And, one thing that a lot of reps or SDR leaders, sales leaders kind of ask me is like, doesn't it take time to find that information? And quite frankly, it doesn't, right? Last night, in less than a minute, Colin, I found your Twitter. Now I know that you're into surfing, running, traveling, and your LinkedIn also tells me you're a dad. So it's very, very quick with the internet these days to be able to find that information that's relevant. And you can go in so many directions for a gift for Colin. So just to give you an idea of how easy that is. Now, I know that, there is an elephant in the room, right? And kind of want to move to this topic, and that is avoiding bribery, right? So, Colin, tell me a little more detail maybe about the approach and messaging that you see with gifting outreach that resonates with you, and maybe what doesn't.
Yeah, no, Katie, I appreciate that. Right. And it's, certainly it's not bribing, right? Gifting, like you already brought up, there's that psychological principle on reciprocity. I think it's like such a deeply embedded principle. I think it's like there's like the law of reciprocity, I believe it's referred to in some books. And so, it's like those monks, that give you the coin, and you feel like some obligation, to interact, right? And it's not for bribery's purposes. It's just like as human beings, there's a psychological principle associated when I receive a gift, and it doesn't need to be. It's actually better when it's not an expensive gift, and it's something that is small. And not necessarily small, but just something that I might not get for myself, but is like relevant and meaningful to me. And I feel like this obligation to reciprocate like a response or something, or at least a conversation, like how can I help this person in return?
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, there's different levels of gifting, right? Like, yeah, you can go as far as like gifting someone like box seats, if it's like a highly strategic account, and taking them and their family to see Disney on Ice. So, just food for thought if anyone's thinking of gifting. I think it could come into play more so just when it's personalized, it's relevant, and part of your holistic strategy, right? So, we at Orum, we say be omnipresent. So it's not just about sending someone a gift. We're also, we're calling them, obviously, Orum is a live conversation platform focused on generating conversations over the phone. And so following up the gifting with, a live call, of course, email, LinkedIn, you want to meet buyers where they are, with the medium that they prefer to respond in. And so, some people respond to direct mail, just like some will respond to the phone, some respond to LinkedIn, right? Some people don't answer the phone. And so you want to get them in the channel that they prefer to have an exchange in. And who doesn't, it's hard to deny like a FedEx to your office or your house, especially if it requires a signature. So,
yeah.
If it's a real strategic account, I don't see it as bribery at all, but just part of the holistic conviction to have a conversation with someone that you really want to get in touch with.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I see, a lot of times when SDR and sales teams get a direct mail tool, they automatically think that they should offer a gift in exchange for a meeting, right? Schedule a meeting with me here and I'll send you a $100 gift card. But what we actually see is that gifting performs better when the gift comes off as genuine and non-transactional. I think psychologically as a buyer, right, Colin, it gives you this sense of genuine care potentially for, the problems that you're experiencing. And that working with that person is going to be a lot better than someone that's just going to treat you as, someone who signs a check, right? So, I teach our customers all the time to actually separate their company's value prop and their CTA from the send offer within their email. And a really effective way to do that is by putting the send offer in a PS. And we know from our friends at Lavender that a PS actually will increase response rates. So, hey, PS, saw you were into traveling, wanted to send you my favorite travel pillow, right? I couldn't sleep on planes before this, right? And that's going to resonate with you because you're interested in that. So I think that that's really interesting too. And you brought up something else, and it's following up on a gift, right? And like you said, it's so important to meet buyers where they are. And I was actually doing some research last night, and a study by the RAIN Group found that 57% of ATL buyers, so your C-suites, your VPs, like Colin, actually prefer to be contacted on the phone. So I think that that's why it's so incredibly important to stay up to date with the latest technology like Orum to increase efficiency on the phones, right? We don't want to be waiting around 30 minutes to get an answer nowadays. So it's kind of cool that Orum can make the most out of my reps' time too. But yeah, I think calling as soon as you get that email delivered is where we see the most success, which is really neat.
100%. Yeah, we have many customers doing really an ABM, ABX, whatever the common current term is, right? You're doing that strategic outreach to specific people. And one of the key things there is you're reaching out to me, right? Like you're reaching out to a VP, a C-suite executive. It doesn't matter what you're selling. If you've really done your research, you're reaching out to that person. Remember, it's people that make up a business.
Right.
Reaching out to that person specifically. And as Katie pointed out, and of course, we're firm believers in the phone. Over half of the C-suite prefer a phone-based medium of communication, right? It's easier for them to just have a live conversation. And what better way holistically than if you have sent a gift and you're reaching out to that person and your talk track is, hey, I'm reaching out, Katie, I'm reaching out to you specifically.
Right.
On behalf of your company, right? And why you're reaching out to them, the relevancy. And by the way, if Katie received a FedEx, via Sendoso from me, she might have that law of reciprocity. Oh, you're that rep that sent me the package, and you sent me the travel pillow. Of course I got, and that your script becomes so much easier. It's like, hey Katie, I'm the guy that sent you the travel pillow. You mind if I borrow 30 seconds to share, why I've been reaching out, why I think we can be helpful. I've been reaching out to you specifically.
Yeah.
And, and Katie that law of reciprocity exists, right? So she's more inclined to take a meeting. So yeah, big believers in a multi-channel approach. And I think, for your tier 1 accounts, and yes, you should organize your account list into certain tiers based upon their qualification and their scoring. So I highly encourage you to encourage your RevOps team to help you set up a good scoring program. And your top priority accounts, this is where you're investing that extra effort and energy in the research. And I know Sendoso has some great ways to streamline the efficiency of research and personalized gifting. But who you're going to invest the extra dollars for to send something to as well.
Right, exactly. And it's funny because I started as an SDR at Sendoso, right? And I worked my way up to where I am now, where I'm now evaluating software. And I think it's really interesting because in this short amount of time, I have this whole new respect for buyers, right? And buyers are experiencing demo fatigue. I mean, Colin, how many times would you estimate that you're emailed, called, or LinkedIn messaged a day? Guesstimate.
Yeah, I can't even keep up with my email anymore. And the thing with LinkedIn is, it's hard for me to tell who's a human and who's a bot these days.
Yeah.
I get these LinkedIn connection requests and I'm like, okay, they have some mutual connections, but is that because those people also thought they were human and it actually is like some sort of LinkedIn automation? And so I'm like a little weary there. And, I think like, yeah, it's crowded, right? So you need ways to cut through the noise. It is getting noisier out there. So yeah, Katie, my inbox is I'm buried right now in that area. Certainly, if someone has a good AI tool for me, let me know. I've heard Superhuman's pretty good, but yeah, time to cut through the noise for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny because on platforms like LinkedIn, the norm is this sort of paragraph long pitch slap message, and no one's going to respond to those. You know what I mean? So it's so important to find ways to break through. And something that we've done on LinkedIn recently is just, hey, saw that you're attending this conference. These events can be exhausting. Grab a coffee on me today. And that's it. And I mean, that stands out because everyone else is sending paragraph long messages, but you're just genuinely caring about the person that you're reaching out to. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting to be on this side and to experience this fatigue and to really understand how important it is to be personalized, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, and to reiterate, right? Once you have a meeting booked, if you book it over the phone using Orum, or if you book it through a gift, right? It's still really important to the morning of every demo that you have, right? If we get into talking tactics, send a $5 coffee e-gift with an email that reiterates why they agreed to meet with you, what they told you their pain points are, and we do that, and we now have a 91% meeting hold rate. So it's little tricks like that that just reiterate the pain. I think you've said something like that recently, Colin. Money follows pain. So
Got that from Chris Orlov. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So being able to reiterate your value prop at every single point, right? And their pains, because buyers like Colin are talking to probably a lot of people a day, right? Colin's not going to remember that first phone call. It's very likely. So you have to constantly remind them why they agreed to take that call.
You got to be pleasantly persistent. I'll give another story, quick shout out story to a rep over at 6 Cents, very much an ABM focused company. And it shows their rep had been reaching out really for months. And, I've taken a call here or there over the past month, couple of months, but they left me a voicemail. In the voice, and I don't know if it was automated voicemail or not, but in the voicemail, they said, and I didn't even listen to the voicemail. I read the transcription. It said, hey, I think her name was Kate. I can't remember. I can't remember her name, but she said, hey, it's me from 6 Cents. I'm sending you a $50 DoorDash it's in your inbox. So you can buy lunch. And do a lunch and learn meeting with me. And so I was like, okay, like I saw the voicemail transcription. I went to the inbox, and sure enough, there was a DoorDash link to a DoorDash, probably from Sendoso, right? Where it's like, and for them, they only get charged, I believe, if I actually like clicked it all the way through and applied it. So I was like, okay, like lunch, who doesn't want DoorDash for their house? Like we work remotely at Orum, so it's great. I then felt like obligated to take the demo, of course. Like I'm not just going to get the lunch and not take the demo, right? So it's like I had this obligation to schedule it. I actually had to move the meeting once or twice, but like I was going to show up to that demo. Like I VP, like I felt guilty moving the meeting. Like, oh my gosh, like they bought me lunch. I got to show up. So like there's like and being curious, like as a human, when, like, why do I feel this like obligation to show up? And Katie's sharing the stat, it's rooted in data, 91% show rate when somebody receives a gift, and maybe they have to reschedule it, right, or whatever, but if they're showing up to that meeting holds, right? So I just want to shout that out. Like it was very thoughtfully done, like tastefully done, like, and again, like if they don't do the meeting, you actually don't get charged. So I think that's the low risk, right, Katie? I believe Sendoso has that kind of feature.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's just so thoughtful, right? It's, hey, I want to send you some lunch on me. Let's make this experience more positive for you, where you can sit down and eat some lunch, then hear me talk, right? Yeah. It's a little less transactional that way, I think. And that's what I love about, gifting in general. I'm curious, right? And we've kind of talked about different things that have caught your attention, Colin. But, as a VP, as a buyer, and someone that a ton of people are reaching out to on a daily basis, right? What hasn't worked when someone has prospected to you using a gift? Have you ever gotten a message that says, hey, take this meeting for $100 e-gift?
I have, yeah. That it doesn't always work. It's not going to work 100% of the time, like any channel, right? Like it, in the 6 Cents example, the context I was trying to share there, they were approaching me in some sort of follow-up campaign over a series of weeks and months, right? So it was part of a larger ABM play that they obviously have in their sequence, or their cadence, their sales campaign, right? So it's not going to always work on that first $5, let's do coffee and chat or coffee and cold calls, and we'll show you live cold calls, right? Which, it's probably rare to book it on that first go round, but being pleasantly persistent and relevant, in my experience, like, you are going to cut through the noise. Like, I'm going to see your name show up. You're showing up in my inbox. You're showing up on my voicemail. You're showing up. Maybe you do catch me cold on the phone, and repetition reduces uncertainty and is persuasive, right? This is why, with the sales campaigns, they are multi-step, multi-touch, and why we preach being omnipresent. And part of that could also be having your marketing team send a targeted ad with a click to a gift, right, to a certain executive buyer, on top of you as the SDR team reaching out. So it should be part of a larger ABM play for these top accounts, in my experience. Like, it doesn't always work to get these $5 DoorDashes or Amazon or Starbucks, but it all together uplifts and increases the chance of a reply.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember back in the day, right? We were not the best with our messaging, right? And we included gifts, but it was more of that transactional approach. Hey, book with me and I'll send you this, right? And that was back when I was an SDR. And, just to give you an idea, we had around 2 to 3% reply rates then, which, overall sequence reply rates hover around a 2.6% on average. So they weren't bad, they were average. But then we rewrote everything. And our sequences now are, does this sound relevant to you and your team? Or does it sound like something that can help you and your team? Let me know and I'll send over lunch either way, right? And so it's not asking for a meeting, but now it's, hey, we just want some information here. Does it sound like something that can help you either way? And I'll send you lunch, right? And then we also have a step where it is a manual email. The SDR has to write a personalized email about the prospect's interests, pick a personalized gift, etc. Now, those sequences are seeing a 20 to 20% reply rate on persona. So it's really interesting how that extra layer of personalization and everything you do actually, it takes some time. It'll take a minute or two to find that information, but the payoff is there. The data backs that up. So I think that's interesting. Another thing that we tested that I think is really interesting is that puns. So like, I'm sure that you've gotten those gifts with the note cards, right? You were talking about Gong. So I was really curious about, like, do puns resonate with everybody? Should we be putting punny messaging on every gift note card? And so we actually tested it across BTL and ATL audiences, across multiple personas, and puns win, right? So, I mean, for you, Colin, right, I could send you an Airbnb e-gift with the messaging of, like, I don't know, consider it a symbol of how Sendoso can help your team travel beyond conventional outreach, right? And that's going to be fun. It's going to put a smile on your face and kind of break the monotony of your day. So I just thought that was kind of cool.
I like that. You just reminded me of another creative outreach that someone did, and it wasn't they said, hey, can I give you my 2 cents? And they sent me 2 cents on Venmo. I kid you not.
I love
and
that.
it was, and then they hit me on an email. Hey, I just want to give you my 2 cents. We've got some insights to share that we think will help Orum and your business and your sales team. And they actually sent me 2 cents on Venmo. And it's like, okay, now I'm getting notified on a part of my phone that I don't have notifications muted on, and they're emailing me and they're calling me. I'm like, all right, like, what's this insight you're willing to Venmo me 2 cents on? So I thought that was creative. I'd say, like, we have some customers. We have one that does what they call a cupcake drop. And so this works when, especially when you have a team in office, and so they would drop cupcakes to the entire IT team, and then they would follow up with cold calls from there. And so they'd say, hey, did you enjoy the cupcakes? We're the team, we're the folks that sent that to you. Here's why we're reaching. And it's, again, that that obligation, that reciprocity that you feel when you actually get them on the phone, you know that they've received something physical. Whereas
Right.
typically you're calling in lockstep with an email. It's like, hey, just want to make sure you got my email. I sent you a case study. This is, a physical good, right? It has that reciprocity. It has a much different flavor than like you sent the case study or something like that, which can work. I'm not saying it doesn't, but
Right.
there's just that increased psychological principle that increases chances of a conversation there.
Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
Oh, you with me?
Yeah,
Am I good?
we're good. Katie, I think you're frozen, but we can still hear you.
Yeah. So,
That's okay. I'll message Katie.
we'll wait for Katie to get back. She's coming back here in just a moment.
Okay, I'm here.
Right.
Sorry about that.
No
Oh, goodness, hotel Wi-Fi, y'all. But no, I missed a little bit of that. But I think it's so you brought something up earlier, Colin, and it's the fact that gifting gives you such a great call opener. Like, with that cupcake example, it's like, hey, I'm Katie. I'm the one that dropped those cupcakes. How were they? Right. It's such a better opener than any cold call script, right? Let's be real. I think that's so effective. So I love that example. And I love how Sendoso and Orum can kind of be hand in hand to just be this more effective strategy where you really need to stand out nowadays and be optimized in your outreach. So I love it.
100%. The phone's back in vogue. Direct mail's back in vogue, right? You got, and look, it's not that any one channel is better than the other. It's the holistic thing. And you'll have, and this is like, when we reach out to folks, sometimes they'll say, oh no, we're good. We get all our meetings over email. Okay. We always ask a question. Let's just get rooted in the math for a second. Hey, we're big believers in email as well. Out of curiosity, what's your reply rate to email? Maybe they'll say something like 25%, 30%. Wow, that's great. That's an incredible reply rate on email. 30% of your market's, replying over email. What about the other 70%?
Mm-hmm.
You leaving that for your competition for your competition to get that market share? How do you think the other 70% will reply to your outbound efforts, right?
Exactly.
Your account-based efforts, right? Maybe a percentage of them from direct mail, a percentage of them from the phone, percentage of them from any other channel, right? Could be social, could be Venmoing 2 cents, right? So
Yeah.
it's not about neglecting any channel. It's about the holistic creative strategy here. So
Absolutely. So, you know that I'm a data nerd. And one of the stats that I pulled last night was this. So only 23% of sales reps hit quota in Q4 of 2022, compared to 53% in Q4 of 2021. So it's really, really more important than ever to personalize your outreach and to capture attention and to optimize your time, right? And I think that kind of points to that. And it is so important to take an omnichannel approach. I'm not one that spends a lot of time in my email inbox, but I'm on LinkedIn, right? It's important to meet buyers where they are. I can't express how important that is, and just having a multi-channel approach.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, okay, you book the meeting, right? But like, how do you also ensure they show up, right? And so, Katie, you're sharing, you got that 91% show rate. Of course, there's that law of reciprocity a person feels like, but how do you make sure you lock it down, right? You don't want someone rescheduling last minute like I do, right? Like, what are some ways that you guys really lock down that meeting on, your sales development team?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, right? Like buyers are experiencing demo fatigue, right? So if you're getting ghosted, it's really important to really focus in on the pain of same for your specific buyer and the pain points that they've mentioned, and really taking a storytelling approach about how you've solved that pain point for your customers pre-meeting. So what we do is our team sends out that $5 coffee e-gift email the morning of every demo. We do 3 bullet points, their main pain points, and we shortly detail how we've helped other customers overcome those pain points in some light storytelling. And what we've seen is that this has really helped to reiterate why this person has met with us. We go into that email with the assumption that they have no remembrance of the phone call that booked it, right? And so we have to do the job of reiterating why they were interested, what we said that got them in for that meeting. And with that approach, right, we went from around a 70% meeting hold rate all the way up to 91%. So, which I think is pretty high nowadays. And it's, it's still low cost, but it's meaningful, right? Here's a coffee to enjoy during our meeting. Here's why we're meeting. Here's why it's important to you. Here's some social proof to back it up.
I mean, you just, why we're meeting, right? Like having an agenda, like sharing an agenda, locking it down with maybe some insights, like a pre-read email before, right? And, at Orum, of course, we're picking up the phone as well. And just like a high-end restaurant, you know what I mean? Like where reservations are tight and hard to get, the host or hostess is calling you and saying, hey, just want to confirm you're going to show up 7:30 p.m. on Thursday. Are you guys going to make it? We're going to be there, right? Or if not, they want the table back. They don't want you to no show. Some people even require a credit card. So yeah, locking it down, show them the value or insights or a hint of the value or insights they're going to receive in the meeting. And look, like it's not just about gifting for top of funnel. And another quick story, and Katie, I'm sure you could share some other insights into how other businesses are leveraging gifting and nurturing the middle of the funnel and how to help drive the close. Another shout out to Gong on this one. They really love the gifts.
They're so good.
Got to give them credit. So we were at our sales kickoff, and I don't know, they must have reached out to one of our account executives or sales development reps who clued in the account executive at Gong. This one came from the AE. Hey, we're at our SKO. Here's the hotel address. Somehow they got the hotel address, and the hotel brought to my room a bottle of champagne with a personalized note, said, hey, hope you all have a great SKO. Here's some champagne to celebrate with the team. Right? Like something like that, just it goes a long way. We're not like, we already had a first meeting. This was like further nurtured in the funnel, and going that extra mile to just personalize and show like, look, we're thinking about you guys. You're probably celebrating, not even asking for anything in return. Just like think you're mentioning your company so that they're thinking about you long after.
Yeah.
Right. And I still think about that.
I think that's so smart. And like, how cool of an experience for you. You're not expecting that. You get a knock at your door. They wheel in some champagne. Like, how nice is that? And, something that we do throughout the sales cycle, right? I think it's close to 8 people are involved in a sale nowadays. You have to loop in about 8 stakeholders. So whenever we're trying to multi-thread and bring more people into a deal cycle, right? We'll ask our main point of contact, hey, what is Barry into? What are his hobbies? What is his family like, right? And we ask those questions from our main contact, and that gives us all the information we need to send a really personalized gift to Barry and loop him in. I've never come across a main point of contact that wouldn't give me information to, send a gift to one of their colleagues, right? They're so willing to do that, especially if they're your champion, right? So that's something we do. We also, after the first demo, we'll send some really hyper personalized gift, right? So that surfing gift, something like that. And then, as we're kind of getting close to deal signing time, we'll send some branded swag or, something nice with a 1-pager or, an ROI report, something that really reiterates the ROI of our platform to motivate them to get that signature across the line. And then, of course, as they're closing, it's all about champagne or something celebratory like cookies, something like that. We've sent out co-branded cookies, so it'll have the Sendoso logo along with theirs. And, it just really helps to, I think, reiterate that you care throughout the buying process, but then it's also strategic, right? With those 1-pagers right before the signing. So there's so many cool things that you can do.
No, I totally agree, Katie. And like, not just for new business, right? For current customers as well, like sending gifts around the holidays, gifts that, your champion and their family will think about. This didn't happen for me personally, but it just reminded me, that a fellow VP was sharing this story was that a vendor had bought them tickets to go see Disney on Ice. That's actually why that example came up earlier. And in the note, it said, hey, like, here are tickets for you and your family to go see Disney on Ice. I saw it's coming to your city, and I know you have some kids. And so when the vendor, took the kids to Disney on Ice, the kids, after the show for weeks and weeks, kept reminding of Disney on Ice. And so the vendor, like the VP was like, well, these kids are now a commercial for that vendor because they're like reminding how awesome Disney on Ice was. And so and they're remembering who had sent them the tickets.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
created this like strengthening thing of like, wow, that vendor like gave me a personal win with my family. And now I'm like constantly thinking about that vendor and like, I'm so thankful,
Yeah.
and so I thought that was great.
No, it's so true. I mean, back when I was an SDR and I was prospecting and sending gifts to everyone, if I saw anything about their family, I was automatically taken that way, right? Like Colin, for example, when I was prospecting you last night, it's like I saw that you on your Twitter had the word mensch, right? And so and you have kids. So around the holidays, sending you a mensch on a bench, it's like the alternative to Elf on a Shelf. How perfect would that be, right? It gives your kids an experience. It's personalized to you and what you've written about yourself. And it's just fun, right? But I think, anything that you can do for someone's family or for their kids, if they're posting about it, right? We don't want to go back to Facebook in 2019 or anything when we're prospecting. But
go back there. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Anything that you can do to pull on their heartstrings, right? Anything that is meaningful to them as a human outside of their professional life, I think is so great. And it makes an impact for sure.
100%. It's not, and again, it doesn't work 100% of the time. Like any channel is not going to work 100% of the time. But like we said, it's part of that multi-channel omnipresent approach. And it may take months of nurturing and thoughtful touch points partnership between you, your marketing team, your sales, your customer success team, depending on where you're focusing on your revenue journey there. Why don't we take some questions? I think I saw one pop in here from Enrique. When prospecting, how do you find a balance between being kind and being invasive? Some prospects find invasive the fact, sales reps are finding information on the internet, sending a gift to someone you don't know, using the information you found online to make that gift personalized. How many people find that invasive? What are your thoughts, Katie, being in the gifting game? What do you think about how does Sendoso, how do you personally think about it? Curious.
Yeah, so this is a great question. I'm so glad you asked it. So when I was prospecting or just researching Colin, right? Let's use him as an example. Obviously I have his LinkedIn. That's professional, right? Everything that is posted to his LinkedIn, if I bring it up, he should be aware, right? And not find that creepy. Now, if I am Googling Colin and I find his Facebook or Instagram from 2012, let's stay away from that. Okay. But on his Twitter, I found his Twitter and he actually links Orum. He tagged Orum in his bio. So it's safe to assume that, he knows that people are going to find this and stumble upon it in a professional setting. So I think it's just important to kind of draw the line, right? Is this a personal Twitter or are they talking about their business? And then LinkedIn and kind of staying there versus going to, don't go to Facebook, don't go to Instagram. Those are private networking sites. They're not really professional. I wouldn't go that deep. So I am curious, Colin, to hear your perspective and kind of what you would avoid and teach your team to avoid.
Enrique, I think, just zooming out, right? This is the same, you're going to always have people that respond positive or negative. This is the same concept when you call someone and they're like, I don't take personal call, I don't take business calls on this phone number, never call here again, right? It's going to happen with a percentage of the population, and look forward to those reactions, because if you set the standard with the kind of KPI, the metrics it takes to get to a successful result, you're like, okay, that's one more no closer to my yes. And because, it's like you see this on LinkedIn all the time. People are always sharing, an email they sent and then two polar opposite replies. One person's like, this is the worst outreach I've ever seen. Everybody's like, wow, it's such a great email. I shared it with my entire sales development team. So I just encourage you to think, holistically about what the goal is, right? And if we're coming to them not for malicious purposes, right? We're coming to them because we genuinely want to help them specifically and their business specifically. And so we have a do whatever it takes kind of mindset, first of all, but doing it tastefully, right? So the balance there, I think, is what you're getting at, is like, how do I do this tastefully without coming across invasive? For some people, invasive might feel like anything. Anything that is not to do with their business. I had a quick story. I had a rep go through my Facebook and pull up. I had listed my dad's Harley for sale maybe 5-6 years ago on the Facebook marketplace or something like that. And they had found this listing, and they wrote me a message, hey, I want to buy your dad's Harley. I know it's probably not for sale anymore, and I didn't reply. And it wasn't that I thought it was invasive. I didn't think that. I just, for some reason, did not reply. But I think for the rep, they felt God, I did all that work and the person didn't reply. They're ghosting me. And they kind of took it personal. And so I think never take it personal if the person doesn't reply, or maybe through that medium of communication doesn't respond positively, because they you call someone, they say, never call here again. They might reply positively to you on an email or LinkedIn or through a gift. Just like if you send someone a gift that felt hyper personalized, they might actually respond more positively on the phone. So I guess the takeaway here, Enrique, is you're look, I'm trying to cut through the noise because I genuinely think I can help you. And just recognize they might even forget about whatever you sent through whatever medium of communication, whether it was direct mail, an email, a cold call, but you finally get them positive on a Google ad or Twitter, a tweet to them, where they just wanted to be met at that point in time. And also recognize some people just have bad days. We all, you might come off hot from a really rough Zoom call and pick up the phone, and people are humans, right? We're in the people business. So just having, patience for that. I know that's not a direct answer to your question. I wouldn't, try to hack their bank account information. Maybe is that's invasive, super invasive, or get weird about knowing stuff about super personal stuff about their family. I think is kind of off limits. I might get turned off if someone's hey, I know where your kids go to school, blah, blah, blah. It could be kind of weird.
Yeah, it's so creepy. Definitely don't do that.
Yeah. I would say that's no. But the dad's Harley listing on Facebook, it didn't turn me off. I just, for whatever reason, didn't reply. My emails flooded,
Yeah, well, it was from too long ago, right? So keep it to LinkedIn, do Googles. If it's a professional interview they've done, listen to that. Anything there is fair game. Twitter, especially if they've had their company, tagged in their bio, totally fair game. That's where we've seen the best results. So hopefully that answers your question.
Awesome. I have a question, but right before I asked it, for our audience here, I'm just going to launch a poll. If you'd like to learn more about Orum or Sendoso, go ahead and let us know in the poll, and we'll follow up. So for gifting, do you guys think when's the best timing to do it? Do you find it's a good way to break the ice, or it's a good way to move someone further down the funnel, or both? Or is there a timing suggestion that you would give to our audience?
Yeah. So, I think gifting is full funnel. Obviously I work for a gifting platform, so that's going to be my answer. Now, I will say that there are certain levels of gifts that I believe apply to different stages of the buyer journey. So if you are, using Sendoso to do a door opener gift, right? Keeping that gift to $40 or below, but making it personalized to open those doors, great. Now, if we are moving through the funnel, this is a really great deal that we really want to, accelerate, then maybe going up in price a little bit, right? And then, like I said, those close gifts, the champagne, the sweets, whatever, So I really think it's dependent on the stage, but we do see that it's an effective method to just continuously build relationships throughout the funnel and position yourself as a seller who really cares, and is there for that prospect and will continue to be there after they close.
Yeah, I thought, well, Katie, I thought first you were going to say that that old expression, like the best time to send a gift was yesterday. The next best time is today, right?
Yeah.
But two examples that I just were recalling the story of, and I do think like sending a gift at all parts of the funnel, especially for your current customer base, goes a long way. Like 100% revenue retention, like something meaningful as a part of that relationship you've developed. So it's something you could do at all aspects of the funnel. Now, two stories come to mind here where gifting has been a success. One, there was the CRO, the former CRO of Brex, Sam Blon, shared a great story on a podcast recently. I forget the episode or what podcast, but when they just went to market with this expense management and credit card system, what they did was they got a list of the 100 CFOs that would be the ideal customer for them, and they sent them a bottle of Vouv. And they said, look, these are the 100 accounts that we 100% want a meeting with. And they scored the accounts and they sent them a bottle of Vouv, a bottle of champagne with a personalized follow-up note around, popping the champagne on your on managing your bottom line expense management. Right. And so like they got hyper focused on who they wanted to serve and serve best. Like these are the 100 accounts we're going to go after as a new company with our limited budget and limited resources, versus go like boil the ocean with Google ads and other paid search. So that was one that worked really well for Brex and their initial traction into their first 100 accounts. Not saying it'll work for everyone, but again, scoring your accounts, getting focused on like who you want to win with this year or in the next 12 to 18 months, and start to plant those seeds with something more meaningful. Obviously a bottle of Vouv is like $100 something bottle of champagne. They did the math, they put it on the ABM plan there. Another one I saw on LinkedIn recently is a startup company called win.ai. I got to give them a shout out. I met their founder before. Great people over there. They sent a personalized box. Well, and it wasn't necessarily personalized. It was just meant to go viral on LinkedIn. Maybe some of you saw this. And the whole thing was it came with a hammer and a keyboard and a note that said, and some safety goggles. And they sent it to like the top LinkedIn influencers. And they said, hey, can you record a video of you smashing this keyboard? And then on LinkedIn, and I think they included something else for the influencer about how reps are tired of typing on the keyboard all their call notes because they're like a call intelligence type of tool.
Oh, that's so cute.
Automates note taking. And so I saw on LinkedIn from multiple influencers who like had fun putting the goggles on with the selfie thing, smashing the keyboard and shouting out Winna. So that was, they picked X number of influencers and sent a gift like that to help with viral marketing.
That's cool.
What kind of creative guerrilla style ways can you think of where you can leverage a gift and get focused on specific people? That's what I would encourage you guys to think about.
I love that. I love that example. I'm going to have to look up all those videos because how fun is that?
100%, right? It's fun. It's different. It cuts through the noise. You're
yeah.
like, this guy smashing a keyboard with safety goggles. I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on here.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. We got one more question. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but we're almost at time anyway. So this is from Taylor. What kind of detractors have come to the forefront? I'm not sure what, Taylor, you mean exactly, if you want to clarify in the chat for us.
Yeah, clarification on that one.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Let us know. Let us know, Taylor. We want to answer. We want to, eliminate detractors and move people towards initiative and action. So no, but yeah, curious what you want to get at there just with detractors. How gifts can move someone from a detractor to a champion, maybe? Should we take it in that direction?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, sure. In my experience, right? Like, I think that there's been situations where we've reached out and people have said that they're not interested. I'll talk about a personal experience from when I was an SDR. right? So I had reached out to this VP of marketing at this very large company, and he told me that he wasn't interested. I was, fine, whatever, moved on. A few months later, I saw that he had gotten promoted on LinkedIn. So I messaged him on LinkedIn and said, hey, congratulations on the promotion. Here's a bottle of champagne to help you celebrate. No CTA at all. But once that gift delivered and he had the champagne in hand, that my little SDR and me was going to say, hey, I know that you mentioned this wasn't a priority at this time. However, I'd like to get Sendoso on your radar in case it ever does become a priority in the future. Let me know if you can squeeze me in. Booked a meeting. So I think that there's roundabout ways, right? And a gift gives you, which is so important, a gift gives you an extra excuse to reach out, right? When that gift lands, it's so effective. Like we were talking about, where you can call and say, hey, it's Katie. I just sent you the champagne. How are you liking it? Right? Or whatever. And it just helps to build that relationship. I mean, buyers automatically have these walls up, and I think gifting kind of removes those walls. So curious to hear your thoughts, Colin.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think like when I think of a detractor here, it's like someone like you said, who just said they were not interested at the time. I think of a detractor also like in terms of like in a deal cycle, you might have what we could refer to as like the eel in the deal, or an anti-champion, right? Someone that might be a champion for the competition, or maybe it's some sort of influencer that within like a company that is not in the green on, 2 thumbs up on your service or solution, right? And so like, somebody that joined late stage, maybe someone got hired in middle of the sales cycle, they've got their own personal initiative maybe that they're focusing on. So they could be a detractor from what you're trying to achieve with your champion there, and you need their buy. So like, could a gift help bring them from a no to a yes? Potentially at least, with every new person that enters a sales cycle, you got to treat them fresh as if they are a new, because it is people that make a business, right? So like, Katie coming in with a sales cycle with Laura, right? Like I might have Katie as a champion, but if Laura comes in late stage and like maybe this now becomes part of her budget, I need to get alignment with Laura on what her personal win is. What is her decision criteria? What does Laura really care about to move her from a no to a yes? And there's no guarantee I will be able to do that, but perhaps like just like reaching out cold, through a gift, maybe I would send an olive branch, hey, Laura, here's a peace offering. I know literally maybe like I'll like send some sort of like olive branch, or like an image of like the dove with the olive branch or something like that. And like, hey, Laura, here's a peace offering. I know you're a fan of our competition. Like I heard, you've been working with our competition at your past company and you might be bringing them here. I just want to introduce us, see if we can have a live conversation, chat through what you're looking for. That's an idea, Taylor. Maybe a gift that could help cut through the noise. Or catch them cold on the phone and just see, hey, just want to chat with you, see how we can help, see if we can align with what your personal, goals are, what you're being measured on in this new role that you just got hired on for, and see if we can actually help for you personally. Because remember, folks, it's about the people. It's not about like just the account. It's like Katie as the individual. What are her personal wins? What's Laura's personal win? And can we align with everyone? Hopefully we can find a way to attach ourselves to everyone in terms of what they're focusing on and for the business as a whole. It doesn't always work out that way, but I do think gifting could be a great way to do it, as well as a live conversation.
Yeah, I love that idea. And I mean, if your company has like one pagers that are specific to Laura's needs versus mine, right? Sending that along with a gift, just really customizing it to that person's needs and wants.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you both so much. This has been really fascinating, and being on the outside of the gifting, but so fun to learn. So yeah, just want to thank everybody for joining us. I just dropped in the chat. We have another webinar on Friday, all about how to unclog your inbound pipeline. So you can RSVP there if you want to join us for that. But we'd like to say, Katie, thank you so much for joining us. So thrilled to have you. Colin, thank you as always for all your expertise. Yeah, have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks all.
Bye,
Thanks so
y'all.
much. Have a great day, everyone.